Let's talk about K-pop, stunning visuals, jaw-dropping choreography. But as you dig deeper, a far messier reality comes into focus. One where fandom, politics, and power are constantly colliding. Why what happens in a music studio can shake governments and shape global agendas. Governments, both democratic and authoritarian, have learned that when you control who the world listens to, you don't just win hearts, you influence minds, movements, and even elections. One headline grabbing example? In 2021, South Korea's parliament quietly changed military enlistment laws, not for all citizens, but for K pop megastars BTS. Officials justified the change by highlighting how allowing top tier artists to postpone their military service would enhance the country's global reputation, acknowledging the significant role these cultural icons play in showcasing South Korea on the world stage. But let's be real, this was political calculation at its finest. BTS's influence had become so vast, their career decisions could sway public opinion and international perception. The government wasn't just protecting its stars, it was harnessing fan loyalty as a political force. This merging of pop culture and politics doesn't stop with one group. In recent years, K-pop idols have been cajoled, bribed, or subtly coerced into the service of different causes. Right before a major South Korean election, aespa's Karina posted a simple patriotic photo. Fans instantly interpreted it as political support. Suddenly, her image was everywhere in campaign posts and media reports. Whether Karina intended it or not, her status as an idol transformed her every move into a public statement. For K-pop stars, staying out of politics is nearly impossible. Even silence gets cast as an endorsement or a slight. But nowhere is the relationship between K-pop and power more fraught than in China. In 2021, following what authorities dubbed chaotic fandom culture, the Chinese government launched an aggressive crackdown, banning idol survival shows, dissolving fan groups, and closely monitoring online fan wars. Yet, in a twist of hypocrisy, state media and officials continued using K-pop idols as cultural ambassadors, showcasing them in propaganda and sponsored campaigns if their influence served national interests. In short, idol worship is allowed, but only when it benefits the regime. It's a reminder that in some places, even screaming over your favorite band is political, a tool that can be suppressed or amplified depending on who's in charge. The lines between freedom and coercion can blur painfully fast for K-pop stars with ties to China. In 2019, as the Hong Kong protests intensified, Jackson Wang, himself a native of Hong Kong, made a public statement expressing his backing of the Chinese government, a move that sparked widespread debate and confusion among fans worldwide. Was this his true opinion or a career-saving move to maintain access to the Chinese market? Fans were divided, debates raged, but one thing was clear: K-pop idols often don't have true freedom of speech. They're pressured by agencies, governments, and their own livelihoods to pick a side or keep silent. No matter which path they choose, idols risk facing fierce criticism, social media blackouts, or even doors closing on their careers. Let's bring it back to the West, where the K-pop craze has been eagerly adopted, sometimes exploited by politicians. When BTS visited the White House in 2022 to discuss anti-Asian hate, US politicians lined up for photo ops. Images of BTS shaking hands with President Biden exploded across social media, generating more engagement than most of his policy announcements that month. Did it raise awareness for important issues? Yes, but it also became a masterclass in digital age PR, politicians harnessing K-pop's fandom fervor for their own influence, transforming every interaction into viral capital. Fans themselves are swept up in this cycle of exploitation. The dedication and unity found within K-pop fan communities are unmatched, making them some of the most fiercely loyal and strategically connected groups of enthusiasts on the planet. Agencies and businesses aren't naive. They've learned to mobilize stan armies for everything from album sales to social justice hashtags, encouraging loyalty that can blur ethical lines. Underneath it all, your clicks, shares, and streams are currency, not just for the artists, but for advertisers, corporations, and sometimes even political campaigns. This is why, behind every viral K-pop moment, you'll find a more complicated story about who's directing the applause and why. Scandals erupt with terrifying speed. It can start with nothing more than a stray comment or an unexpected fashion choice. Suddenly, the drama ignites. When Jungkook wore a Make Tokyo Great Again cap, Unaware it was linked to Japanese nationalist politics, some Korean fans erupted in outrage, fearing he'd been caught up in a web of controversy. Whether the move was accidental or intentional, it's the perfect example of how idols are forced to walk an impossible tightrope. If they speak up, they risk being accused of propaganda. If they stay quiet, they're called cowards. Agencies try to shield their stars by tightly controlling their statements, but even then, a single action can spiral into an international incident. The pressure to be everything someone else wants, artist, ambassador, role model, political symbol, can be crushing. K-pop trainees sacrifice their youth in hopes of debuting, only to discover that stardom means giving up privacy, autonomy, and in many cases their right to make mistakes. With millions watching, every word is scrutinized, every silence dissected, and every dance step is political, sometimes even legal, fodder. The stress and exhaustion can be catastrophic. Stories of idols collapsing or walking away at their peak are sadly becoming routine. Even fans, once seen as simply supporters, now wield massive influence. With enough noise, they can crash ticketing platforms, trend global hashtags, or even embarrass powerful institutions. But their loyalty is often manipulated. Some so-called fan accounts turn out to be run by marketing agencies, political agitators, or automated bots, engineering conflicts and amplifying controversies to sell more, distract from scandals, or push an agenda. If you've ever felt like your fandom was being used, you're probably right. So what does all this mean? At its best, K-pop was and still is an escape, a way for people around the world to feel seen and connected, even if they share no language with their idols. But as the industry grows ever more powerful, it attracts more manipulation. What once felt personal can now feel staged, commodified, or even weaponized. Every time a government partners with an agency or a controversy breaks over a photo or a lyric, we risk losing sight of what brought us here in the first place: the music and the stories that made us feel understood.